All right, guys, this is David at Diecast Media Network. I don't know if you have seen a previous episode of Collections on the other channel, but if you haven't, format is really simple. I sit down with the personalities in our hobby, and we show off our cars. We show off our collections. We have a conversation, and we just get to know each other here in the Diecast community. And today, for the first episode of Collections on Diecast Media Network, who better to start it than the guy who started the entire network himself? Chuck Ellis, founder and creator, Diecast Media Network, and more importantly, my friend. Chuck, how has this day treated you, sir?
Oh, hey there, David. It is so great to be here and doing this with you. I am just about over the flu, so my voice has come back just in time, so I'm grateful for that. But just it has been a very, very exciting year, and we're just getting into February now when we're recording this, so I am excited for what's ahead. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I think we both have done a year's worth of work in the first 30 days, no doubt. Well, I'm super excited. Honestly, as long as I've known Chuck, I really haven't gotten to see a whole lot in the collection, and I am pretty pumped about this episode, guys. I know you are too. You got to be curious about a guy who starts a channel called the Diecast Media Network. What does he have in his collection? Chuck, I'm really geeked to see what you got for us tonight. Where do you want to start us out? Do you want to start with a tour? Do you have anything special you want to pull out and show and tell some stories? Just tell me what you're thinking.
Well, I'm starting over here because this is where folks will usually see me doing Diecast Breakdown. Originally, when I started the channel, I was not planning to show my face at all. And then as the project evolved and I wanted to get things more complex, our co-host Mark, his videos kind of convinced me it was time to go on screen with my face and start doing I'm in your face. No. Diecast Media Network was the most lofty and pretentious name I could think of for a project where I was going, okay, well, we'll be the Diecast Podcast Network. Oh, that's not big enough. What if we turn into something else? So I was like, okay, how broad can we go? And Diecast Media Network was it. So This is where I do most of my editing and recording on behind me. This is the actual behind the scenes. And when I'm recording, I have my set behind me, which is a very good place to start. This is kind of the wall of fame, as it were, for the Diecast Breakdown show and for my channel in general. There's really cool pieces that I'm really proud of. This is a Chris Walker custom Woody from a show. I found this one after he passed. I realized I needed to get my hands on a Chris Walker before the prices went completely out of control.
Through the roof. Yep.
So I was able to get that one for reasonably priced. A car that I'm very proud of, that I'm thrilled to have in my collection, is this 1/43rd scale Herbie from Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. And this one was designed by guest of the show, Brendan Vituski.
Super cool.
So
all right.
Very cool to have that on. I've got an RLC that Larry Wood designed. I've got Chad Reed from Round 2's Honda. I'm hoping you can see it.
Yep.
I've got some cars that were designed by Cole Shawala. He did that truck for me. Let's see. Chris Westlake.
Yeah.
Made
Westlake
me this car.
164s. Yeah.
Westlake 164. He was a guest on the show. This is a Folk Art 64 Plymouth Valiant. It's the closest I've come right now to having my car in 164 scale. We got a really nice postcard that Mike at Mike's Mods and Customs sent me. This is a custom that was made by Xavier over at Diecast Show Customs. Car I got from the Toy Pimp in Arizona. Para 64, Mitsubishi 3000 GT, Mini GT, Porsche 911 from when we had Glenn on. And you might recognize this little station wagon over here. That's a David Johns original right there.
That
Go
The
ahead.
cover shot.
It is, in fact, the cover shot of Twice Diecast itself, and I've got another Twice Diecast over here. So lots of history that's happened in the year and a half, 2 years that we've been doing this, and lots more great stuff ahead. But it was a lot of fun putting this display together. Each one of these pieces tells a story of the channel and of the project. So it's nice to be able to turn around and see um, what we started with and where we've come. There is something over here I wanted to show you that is not a diecast, but it is an image of a diecast that I've had for a very long time. I got this when I was in kindergarten, and this
Uh-oh.
is an X-ray of a Matchbox Porsche 935, I believe.
I'm
Um,
scared to ask.
when I was little, I stood up to the bully in kindergarten and did not get off the playground when he said get off the playground, and he dislocated my finger. So at the hospital, the emergency room, they took an X-ray of my finger, and I got that car from my parents as a sorry that the bully dislocated your finger present. And I asked the technician if I could get an X-ray of the car. They said sure. So I'm the only person I know that has an X-ray of a 164 scale diecast car.
All right, let me go back to that wall because I
Sure,
have a question for you. When you look
sure.
at that wall and you look at the 2 years and all the contacts in our community that we've been able to make, and what a just a rip roaring start to this venture it
Mhm.
has been. What is the first word that comes to your mind when you think about the personalities in our community after we talk to them? First thing just pops in your head.
Excitement, passion.
Yep.
Everybody that I know in this hobby loves it.
Yep.
They're in it for the cars. They're in it for the experience, the love of the design, the love of working on tiny versions of these things that we hold so dear and are such important parts of our modern life. And from the charismatic energy of Fireball to the enthusiasm of the Felix at Tarmac Works and his love of all things racing and diecast, and Larry's just unending energy for cars and design. That he's 80 plus years old and it's hasn't gone away for
Still
a
going.
second. He's not sitting there going, back in my day things were better. He's looking at new cars and new designs and going, that's great. I love what they're doing there. I see this. So the fact that the perseverance that Larry had and the energy and the creativity that so many of these designers have, that, Tony and Mike at Round Two, and, the everybody's all in
Yep.
in this hobby.
Yep.
And I think that's so cool. And so it's so amazing to look at this wall and see all of the different faces and voices from around the world that we've been able to, hang out with and chat, that, 20 years ago would have been impossible to do. We're continuing to go global this year with, we've got Sweden just got added to the list, and Sri Lanka. We got guests from
Yep.
Sri Lanka on. So it's just incredible. What an amazing time to be alive and be in this hobby.
Never been a better time to been a collector. I'm going to have
Yes, I
to
heard that somewhere
trademark that.
before. It's going to be
All
on a
right.
shirt.
So I want to see some Flying Valiant uh, pieces before Diecast Media Network. What were the things that Chuck Ellis was collecting and adding to his collection? Do we have any of that? Any good examples of really what you kind of gravitate toward, so that we can kind of get to know your collection?
Well, sure. If we're talking pre Flying Valiant and pre Diecast Media Network, I actually have right here my first weathered build This is one I did when I was, I think, 13, maybe. It was when I was doing plastic, styrene 124 scale, 125th scale models. It was the first time I tried building a rusty car. I tried building shiny cars and I was crap at it. And I read this article in Fine Scale Modeler that completely blew my mind because I had never thought about building weathered and rusty cars, and
Yeah.
I loved it. It's for what it is. It's not much, but it was a great start for me, and I haven't looked back since. So I do have over here is where all of my build videos tend to start. You see a pan down onto this scene here, which is one of the
Oh,
first things
all
I did when I
right.
started doing my builds. This is my working set. I wanted to build something that was big enough to fit a semi truck in, and everything is modular. It all comes out. This level up here is removable. I'm not going to do that right now, but even these things on the back are held on by magnets, so they can come off if they need to.
That's cool.
Um,
I like that idea.
yeah, so I wanted a nice big, simple background that I could modify as needed for photos, because I knew early on I was going to be taking a lot of photos of things. And then I've got kind of my existing. Oh, actually, here's one. This is the first custom that I did, and then the first custom that I redid. So this is a Yachtming. Move it over here. Yachtming VW Beetle that I have had since I was probably 4 or 5 years old.
Mm.
And when I was about 6 or 7 years old, I decided I wanted to make a Herbie. And Herbie toys were almost impossible to find in the late 80s. So I tried to paint it myself with some white paint and a brush and some red and blue paint, and it turned out about as you would expect. And that turned me off of doing customs for a long time because it was not very good. And
Right.
then when I decided to pick up the hobby again, my brother gave me back a bunch of diecasts, and sure enough, uh, this one was in there. And
Oh, look at there.
yeah, and so the first one that I redid was this one. And so I got my printer out and I made the decals and I mixed up the paint to make it just the right off-white color. And I made the sunroof out of clay, air dry clay, and painted it.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, so I for 4 years that's not a lot of customs, but a lot of work has gone into them, and there's been a
Yeah.
lot of video work that went in as well.
I'll vouch for that. If there's any chance in the world that you are a viewer of Diecast Media Network, but you didn't catch the prequel as Flying Valiant, you have got to go back and watch Chuck's old build videos. The cars are amazing, but the production value on the videos is what hooked me from day one. Chuck, I've always admired that about the effort you put into every detail on your videos. It's inspired so many of us to up our game as well.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, for those who don't know, my background actually is in video production and working in media. So I had experience editing beforehand. So I don't want people to, I mean, my stuff is still, a work in progress, but I have had some people say, I would like to do that, but I couldn't do a video like yours. And I was like, well, that's
Right.
because I have 15 years of editing experience from before I picked up the mouse to do the first video on this. So you're not seeing my first video. You're
Yep.
seeing probably my 500th video. and
Yep.
um, and that's okay. It's a marketable skill to have for anybody who's thinking about doing it. It's a great thing to learn because you'll learn computer skills just in general by having to sit down and use this stuff, and through osmosis you'll just get better at everything on computers by working on these videos. So it's really cool to me to see all the smaller channels, the people that have started stuff and are sharing their stuff and getting it out there and growing their own audience and growing their own confidence as they're showing off their own work as they go.
Give us a little tease, a little preview. What when you think of Chuck Ellis diecast collection, what 3 words come to mind? What would describe it if you had to in 3 words? They can be numbers.
Yeah, I was going to say large, chaotic, and diverse. I have a very diverse collection. Before we even go upstairs, as a customizer, it's hard to say no to any casting because it could be parts or it could be whatever. So, we're going to take a quick look before we even get to the good stuff. This is my bulk storage, by the way, for people who are curious. These are, yeah, it actually starts over here. It goes over here and stretches all the way over here. So these are bulk storage for just mainline. And over here are this shelf, which is almost solid now. These are all premiums. And each one of these cases, let's see, each one of these can hold 36 cars. So, you want to do some math there. That's a lot of premiums. I've got my organization bins there's my Epic wheel collection. I've got a huge selection of real riders and rubber tires and plastic tires for doing customs. Got parts. And then above my collection, over there and over here, these are all diorama parts and building kits. And all of this stuff up here that you see is 1/64 scale, whether it's airplanes or I've got a paddle wheeler. I've got a Millennium Falcon that's 1/64 scale. I've got a ton of buildings. So, more stuff than I will probably ever be able to build in my lifetime. So this whole downstairs den area is dedicated to both my day job and my YouTube channel project, all done in here.
So going back to your descriptor for the people that we've interviewed on Diecast Breakdown, you mentioned passion and being all in, and it would appear that you are indeed all in on the hobby as well.
I don't do things part way. That's usually not my thing. So if I'm in, I'm in. And
I can dig it.
Yeah. So, but before we go upstairs, we're going to take a quick detour out through here since we're talking cars. And because we don't get to see this one too much.
It needs its time in the little shine for it.
So for those who don't know, Flying Valiant is based on a real car, which is the Flying Valiant. And that's this guy right here. And it's been around since 1997 is when I got this. I was 15 years old. And my first car, and hopefully my last car. Needs a bath right now. But my wife and my friend Ben and I spent 6 years doing a complete rotisserie rebuild on the car. Most of it right here in this garage, actually. We moved while the car was completely disassembled. So we had to move a completely disassembled car in across town into this garage. So when I'm not in there, I'm working on this in here. So that's the original project right there.
It's the thing that started it all, kicked it all off.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. Hey guys, this is David with Diecast Media Network. I hope you're enjoying this episode and getting to see what Chuck has in his collection. Had a good time hanging out with him and would like to take this opportunity to offer a chance for you guys to let me know in the comments who you want to see on future episodes of Collections. If you're curious about some of your YouTube content creators and what they have in their diecast collection, let me know. We'll reach out. We'll see if we can get them on the show. All right, let's get back to the show and let's see what Chuck has in the rest of his collection.
This is about 1/18 scale. It's a little bigger. This is an old toy that was my aunt's from way back, and it used to be in much better shape.
So, Chuck, you've been weathering cars from
from
the
day
very
one.
beginning.
So it's just kind of this promise I made to myself as a kid, was that if I ever found Herbie's, I'd get Herbie's. And so
no Herbie left behind.
Yeah, no Herbie left behind. And so that's where that kind of came from. And that Herbie is now joined by several other Herbies. This is a Johnny Lightning Herbie, 1/18 scale Johnny Lightning. And this is a kind of no-name Super Beetle that's been done up as Herbie. But anyway, so yeah, I got quite a few of those now, and it's just kind of been a thing of mine. It's not my only thing, but it's just kind of this little thing that I do as a nod to my past self. So I have this old jeweler's case here, and it's got a lot of cards in it.
And sure does.
Yeah, so we're gonna rotate around here and scare the cat. But got cars from got the Blade Runner Spinner, got the Hardcastle McCormick, Coyote, some old Dixie Challenger, because I like the Dukes of Hazzard and I like weird variants on things. So like I've got this Corvette that's kind of got a Herbie stripe to it. We've got a Wendell Scott stock car. I really admire him as a NASCAR driver. Got Brendan Vertusky Dodge Power Wagon with the swivel chassis, the RLC Club. Just a whole bunch of these are just cars that are either meaningful to me or I just really love the design.
So you weren't kidding when you said variety.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're seeing lots of decades. We're seeing lots of continents.
Yeah. So this section here, this one is my malaise wall. Basically, these are all cars from the mid 70s to the mid to late 80s. That that era of the gas crunch, the ugly, unappreciated, slow, poorly made, cars that shouldn't have nostalgia for, but I do, because these are the cars that I grew up with seeing. Turning around here, there's more. This one's more of a mixed bag. I've got Chuck E. Cheese Dodge van up there for obvious reasons. Crack up truck that I couldn't get as a kid that I finally got a really nice clean one of. And again, just cars that I enjoy or admire. So, this one's more the import side. So that's the main stack. And then I've got my special section over here where I've got my red, orange, yellow collection. So for those who don't know, I like red, orange, and yellow as a color scheme. So some of these aren't quite red, orange, and yellow, but they're close enough. The Kaido House C10
Silverado.
That's just the Silverado. Love that. That I think is probably my new favorite in my collection.
Right.
This one just came out, the Range Rover from Hot Wheels. Got a really cool gradient to it. Of course, the vintage Toyota racing team. Just kind of a collection that just kind of started from me liking that color scheme. So I add to it and move cars in and out as they fit, more or less. And then up here, you can see these are the remainder of my customs that I still have. Let's see. You can see them. So this
I remember
Cyberpunk. Yeah, Cyberpunk Porsche, Cyberpunk Matchbox People Mover. This one is another one that was one that I did not do a video on. This was pre-video. It's just the Punisher van, but I used acetone to take the skull off so it would look more like an unmarked van, repainted the insides, added some bullet holes with a center punch, detailed the cannons, did a little light weathering on it, and that was kind of my I'm going to take this show on the road and start making custom. So those are the ones that are still in my possession. I've given away most of the cars that I've built, and I've sold a few of them, but most of them ended up presents. I still have my Shining diorama that I made with the hedge
One of my
maze and
all-time favorites. Yeah.
cats. And it's even got a little axe there in the corner with the sticking in the stump. Made the axe head very, very shiny. That was a lot of fun.
Well, you've shown us the past. We've seen kind of what shaped you as a hobbyist, as a collector, as a customizer. I selfishly want to know about the future now. Let's talk about Diecast Media Network, what you would love to see it become, and maybe some goals you have for this channel in the coming year.
That is something I spend probably too much time thinking about, honestly. This project has gotten so much bigger than what I thought it would be. And I know that's kind of a silly thing to say when technically we only have about 3,600 subscribers as of making this. And I keep having to remind myself that just because we've come a long way from where we were doesn't mean that we're actually, anything super huge yet. When I made the switch to Diecast Media Network, I in my heart knew that this was me starting to turn the channel over to something that could be shared and passed on. This is me moving from just being a channel that's about builds and unboxings to helping people who want to do videos better, helping people who want to maybe contribute part-time or want to do videos but don't want to do the hassle of running a channel, or want to do just one or two videos and call it a day. If they wanted to have something that they could release out there and it wasn't just sitting on I've seen really talented builders that have only 200 subscribers or 50 subscribers. And it's because they made 3 very good videos and then stopped creating. And it's a shame that they didn't get more views. And so if we had a platform that was more for creators that wanted to contribute, that they could do that. And Diecast Breakdown was the first part of that project, was seeing, okay, can we have multiple voices on this channel and have it be cohesive, have it keep going. And so far, I think everybody's been pretty happy working together. I want to see what happens if we really give this channel the beans and we really post something video, not just a community post, but a video every day. And the original goal was doing something, whether it was a post or a video, but I think we might actually be able to do a video every day.
Yeah, I think so.
And divide it up between the 3 of us, where we have Diecast Breakdown on Sunday, and we each take 2 days, and we can release whatever content we want on there. And we're actively going to be looking for additional creators, people who want to contribute. We couldn't make it to Diecast SuperCon this year, and Derek has stepped up on this Diecast to be a field reporter for us out there, which is awesome. We love working with Derek. He's been a huge advocate for this project, and we're so grateful to him. He's a patron. And again, I can't say enough about working with Mark and David, who have put their blood, sweat, and literal money into this. I keep saying this on the show. They pay to be here. We all pay to be here. And we're not doing this to make money. Not yet, anyway. We we're doing it just because we love what we do. The passion, like I said, that's you know definitely why we do this. And we wanted to be a voice for the community. We noticed that there was a little bit of a knowledge gap between the manufacturers and the collectors, and there are people out there that are doing great stuff already with like Lamley, and Champion DJK does some really good stuff with that. But really having a way to talk with them directly and have the collectors see these people, see Felix from Tarmac Works in a setting where he's not just saying, "Here's what new cars are coming out." Who is Felix? Why does he do this? What's his family life like? What does he think about when he gets up in the morning? Or the the people that would normally be behind the scenes, and get them out into the world, and be able to ask them the questions that we want to know. And so it turns out really all we had to do was spend a bunch of money
Yep.
and time making a really good podcast, and they'll come on and talk to you. A very long-winded way of saying what I'm excited about in the future is just I really hope by the end of the year we hit 10,000 subscribers, we raise 24,000 cars for charity, and we bring on a couple more people who are really passionate about this hobby and want to be a part of building a stronger community of creators, especially in the YouTube space.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to the viewers now, because if you're watching this, I hope you wrote that down as your takeaway. If you have a passion for this hobby, and chances are, if you're watching uh 45, 50 minutes into a video about diecast, you probably are. We'd love to have you and get your input and have you be a contributor of whatever capacity you can do. We would love to sit down and talk with you. Please leave a comment on this video. Get in touch with Chuck, David, or Mark, the co-host of Diecast Breakdown. We will put you in touch with the person that can best get you to work for Diecast Media Network, because you've heard Chuck's vision. He wants to grow this as it's kind of a hub for the community to come and get everything you need. If you're just starting in the hobby, it's how to start collecting, how to do it the right way. If you're a customizer, we can put you in touch with amazing customizers just like Chuck. But we just want to hear from you, and we want to, Chuck, I think it's safe. We want to share the passion of the hobby with as many people as we can, and that's why we do this.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Is like I want people to not feel alone out there, because it can be a lonely hobby if you're in an area where there's not a lot of diecast meets or a lot of community events, and it feels like you're just going to the pegs by yourself. The pegs are always empty because somebody's already come in and stripped them all out. And you're going on Facebook groups and you're seeing people leaving laugh reacts when some kid says, like I just saw something where some kid posted that he got his 500th car in his collection. He was so excited to be in the big leagues, and people were laugh reacting. And I'm like, why? It's a kid.
Yeah,
He's excited he got 500 cars in his collection, and you're laughing. Yeah.
yeah.
So why do that?
Why? What's
So
the point?
and so this is an area that would be managed professionally, moderated, but at the same time welcoming to people who have a good faith interest in the hobby and want
Yep.
to enjoy it and grow and learn, and aren't having to jump to all of these different small little islands of people that are struggling to put out maybe a video a year or a video every 6 months or something like that. And that we can highlight smaller creators or other creators, even if they're not smaller. Just I want to see videos on our channel where we're doing the top 10 customs of the month or something, and we're just going
Yeah.
around and somebody is picking out, here's 10 build videos that I think are really cool, and linking to 10 different channels. And we pick 10 different channels each month and highlight them. or we have a really cool, that's why every episode of Diecast Breakdown has a small channel shout out. That was a very important thing for me, because again, I want people to not feel alone. I want them to feel like they are getting recognized for the effort that they're putting in, because it takes a lot of work. Even making a simple video takes a lot of work. So
Yeah.
it can feel like you're shouting into a void sometimes if you're putting out a video and only getting 7, 8 views, and you put a lot of effort into it. And I've been there, and we're still getting to where we're getting triple digit numbers in our views, and it's like, okay, great, but like I said, we got to start somewhere, and I think
Yep.
if we can get enough momentum behind this, it could really take off and be something awesome. And we've gotten a lot of really great feedback from people in the industry that really like us, that have believed in us and are actually planning some big stuff that we can't even talk about yet. That's really exciting. I mean, we've signed legal documents that said we can't talk about it, but when we do, it's going to be really awesome.
Yeah. Look
And
out.
so watch this space, and make sure you're ringing that bell, because we're going to have a lot of cool stuff coming.
All right. Well, you heard it from him. You heard it from the man who started it all, folks. Chuck, as we creep toward the finish line, we've got some upcoming highlights that we want to make sure the viewers are aware. You've mentioned that we've got Derek in Vegas. He's going to be covering a major announcement that Diecast Breakdown has been. We're not saying we have any kind of exclusive, but we are definitely going to be one of the sources of information for a big announcement from Vegas. And then Chuck and I, we are going to get together in Atlanta for the Hot Wheels Collector Nationals, and going to be going live. We don't know if it'll be an episode of the Diecast Breakdown. It just might be Chuck and David live. We don't know yet. That's how much we've got this planned all out for you guys. But we are going to be live from the sales floor that Sunday. And Chuck, I'm pumped about it. What are your thoughts about Atlanta?
I am so excited about this. It'll be my first convention. David's gone to a couple now, or this will be at least your second big one.
Yep.
And so we'll be doing, the hotel room selling and buying, and we're going to be on the sales floor. We're going to be selling some cars. We're going to be going live, talking to people, in and out stickers, and just kind of getting the word out about the show and about the channel, and meeting some cool people, some previous guests and some new guests, new future guests.
Yep.
And, just so excited to, take the show on the road. And we're hoping that will lead to many more road events in the future, where we're, able to get the full team together and have something that actually looks like a professional show from the road. And
Yeah.
this is us starting that process. Right? So it's going to be a bumpy one, but I think we'll still be able to give you guys some really awesome content from that show. So
baby steps, journey of 1,000 miles. All right. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention our co-host that's not here tonight, Mark. His charity, which Chuck has alluded to already, Driven Dreams. If you are going to Atlanta, please find me, Chuck, or both of us, because we're going to be somewhere near a donation bin for Driven Dreams. If you're shopping in Atlanta, especially that Sunday where we will be roaming the floor, buy 1 or 2 extra main lines and drop them in that box so we can get them donated to children in need. Chuck, it's really been a pleasure. As long as we've known each other, I didn't know your collection as much as I thought I did. And I learned a lot tonight. It's really, really cool, man. I love to know the history and kind of how you've evolved from the plastic models to the larger scale stuff to now it's funny. The worse our eyes get, the smaller the cars we work on get as well. Well, I think we're doing this wrong.
Well, I just like I said, they're easier to store, and
that makes sense.
and that makes it easier when you've got as many as I have, and I've got a problem. I think I've got so many, but if you need one, just ask me because I probably got it.
There you go. Okay, folks, this is the first episode of Collections on Diecast Media Network. I've had a blast. You're going to see more episodes. We're going to get some pretty big names in our community, and we're going to let them show off their collection. I think you'll really enjoy it. So until then, Chuck, I enjoyed hanging out with you tonight, my friend. Let's do it again sometime. But you guys stay tuned for another episode coming soon of Collections here on Diecast Media Network.